I cycled the power one more time, finally put in 7,600.
As soon as we saw the emergency squawk, the supervisor was in.
Brian, we got a situation going on over here.
I know the power was up for about a minute, then went out again.
You see souls and fuel remaining?
I don't know how much fuel I got, but I bet I got at least 1 or 2 quarts.
Air traffic control. Mayday.
You got 2 choices, to give up or fight for your life.
Told him I loved him, and I put the nose of the plane down into the canyon.
On the morning of February 5th, 2017, Dr. Peter Edenhofer, an instrument-rated commercial pilot with over 1,800 hours of experience, flew his 1977 Cessna Cardinal from his home airport in Paris, Texas, to Castroville Airport near San Antonio. After a long day of work, Dr. Edenhofer began prepping for his night flight home. He checked the weather along his route. In Castroville and Dallas, the current weather conditions and forecast were VFR, favorable for flying, but Paris was reporting low, thick cloud cover that started just 200 feet above the ground.
Of course, the trouble with Paris is that they only give you the weather right now, so you always have to look predominantly at Dallas to see what the weather forecast is going to be. So I looked at that, that was okay. Right around Greenville, there was like a weather front, which of course meant that your tension level goes up a little bit every time, for me at least, when I know I'm going to be flying hard IFR. But I didn't see anything there that said it's a no-go, don't even bother.
Dallas altimeter 2982. It was late Sunday, so traffic was light, and I had worked the doctor in to Paris, come in from South Texas, and cleared him for the approach, and everything was normal.
November 34731, cross Kukpo at or above 3,000, cleared RNAV GPS runway 35 approach.
And crossing Kukpo at or above 3,000, cleared for RNAV 35731.
November 34731, report Kukpo.
Report Kukpo.
I was flying it fairly high for the Cardinal, about 10,000. Coming down, and I hit the clouds around 5,000 feet. I knew I got about a mile of clouds to go before I get out.
November 34731, radar contact lost. In November 34731, there's a good chance I'll lose you on radios also here. Your radar service is terminated. Report your cancellation or downtime this frequency or flight service. I'm going to give you an alternate Fort Worth Center frequency of 123.9 or 2, 2392 for your cancellation also.
Okay, 123.92.
So flying in, and power goes out. All the electric just completely went out.
At this point in the flight, Dr. Edenhofer is flying an IMC just below 2,500 feet on an RNAV approach into Paris. At that altitude, because of the area's topography, he's expecting to have poor radio reception, especially when talking to Fort Worth Center. Now, without electrical power, his Cessna Cardinal has no radios, no fuel gauges, no transponder, no GPS, no flap control, and no lights inside the cockpit or outside the airplane.
I thought, fine, we'll just fly straight and leveled. I was descending, but leveled out somewhat, and cycled back up, and okay, good, everything's good again. So by this time, though, however, I'd flown a little bit too far, so I knew I had definitely passed the final approach fix, so had to come back, and thick IFR, I don't want to change my altitude too much, so I'm just going to concentrate on making a nice horizontal turn back to the final approach fix. As I'm coming back towards the final approach, the power goes out again. And at this point, my flaps are down, and I'm thinking, I don't need to be landing right now. So full throttle, we're just going to abort. So I figured, okay, this is not a good day. Tension level's up there, and I did have my little red light, so I put the headlights on, so that provided some visibility so I could see the basics of the panel. Got level at least, and I cycled the power one more time, had enough power to get the flaps up. And I'm climbing out, not just to the missed approach, but I'm climbing out past missed approach. Just trying to clouds. The power went out a third time. Okay, so at this time, I'm really getting a little bit nervous, and but still, I had a backup gyro, and just looking at all the other gauges, the old steam gauges, which are a good thing. So finally got out of the clouds, again about 5,000, 5,500, somewhere around there. You know, my concern at that point was, what does ATC think? Do they know that I'm out here? Hopefully they don't think that just another GA pilot that landed and forgot to log out.
Voice here, November 34731 is on the GPS runway 35 to Paris. He's been there for about 4 minutes. We should be getting a downtime within the next couple. Do you have any questions?
No question.
Right as Phil was assuming the sector, we both noticed that the doctor's code had come back up out of Paris on a missed approach.
He's still climbing. You said he was on the GPS approach. What's the missed approach altitude for that?
He should be going to 2200. What do you see him at?
He's at 4,500 now. It looks like he's still climbing.
All right. We know it's foggy. We know it's IFR, so it's not unusual for a pilot to do a missed approach and try again. But usually, when they come up on a missed approach, they talk to us. Hey, I had to do the missed approach. You know, let's, you know, new approach procedure or something. But you get his transponder for a couple of hits, like Phil said, for 20, 30 seconds, and then it goes away. Okay, well, he was climbing, so we feel pretty confident that the airplane's still flying.
The first sign that something was wrong was that he was above the missed approach altitude.
Mm-hmm.
He's still climbing. I think something's going on.
Okay. Brian, we got a situation going on over here.
November 34731, Fort Worth Center, over.
I cycled the power back. At that time I was pretty nervous already, so actually I had difficulty remembering what number do you put in. It's 7 something, so it actually took like a good minute. Finally put in 7,600. I know the power was up for about a minute and then went out again. So here I am. My brain is racing, and I start seeing everything in terms of headlines and pictures, and then I start seeing the pictures of people at my hometown reading the paper. Oh, well, he crashed, he's a dumb doctor, and and he should have known better. And I see all these conversations going on in my mind. I have 3 boys. I want to tell them goodbye. So pulled out the phone and started to text.
Brian, I think we have a situation going on.
Yeah, he's squawking emergency now.
What you got going on?
November 34731, he's through his missed approach altitude, and it looks like he's starting to squawk emergency.
And do you know the nature of the emergency?
Negative. Everything was normal, cleared him for approach about 7-8 minutes ago, and it looks like he's just gone primary target only. Let's start running the checklist and see if we might have a cell phone on file.
As soon as we saw the emergency squawk, the supervisor was in, and that lasted for about 20 or 30 seconds, and then it went away, and then we had only the primary target available.
Right now, the radar's only painting the airplane, just the skin of the airplane. There's no electronics or anything. So it can get a little dicey when you're just dealing with primary targets because they're not reliable. Phil took over the sector and started making some broadcasts to see if we could raise the doctor. We don't know what's going on at this time.
November 34731, Fort Worth Center. If you hear Fort Worth Center, acknowledge and ident.
It was a real wave of just wanting to give up. Just get it over, I'm not going to make it. I figured, well, okay. What do you do? I'm not going to crash the plane. That'd be stupid. You really kind of feel like, well, it's it. And I thought, well, that'd be kind of dumb. And then I heard the voice of the flight examiner that did my FR. It says, fly the plane, fly the plane. And I swear I heard his echoes, fly the plane. So that's what I did, fly the plane. Don't worry about the rest. I still had fuel, so my backup plan is land on the highway. Really kind of stupid if you think about it, because I couldn't have landed in Paris anyway. And if you're flying down, gliding without fuel onto a highway that you can't even really see, how are you going to land? Regain composure somewhat, and knew I had to fly south. Had the phone, and I figured, okay, let's see what the phone can do. I'm over 5,000 feet. My phone shouldn't work, that's what I thought, but the GPS came up on my phone. I was heading the right directions, was actually starting to see some broken clouds. And then I realized, you know, I can't even activate the runway lights. I don't have radio. I figured, nah, this is not good.
Hello, this is Fort Worth Center. Can you look up the flight plan on November 34731 and give me the information you have from his flight plan? Okay, so you have just the pilot's name, home base is Paris. No other information, no phone number or anything? All right, thank you.
I'll see if I can find something on it.
All right.
Hey Hugh, I got a couple of questions for you. You got a minute?
Hey, Charlie.
This aircraft that's gone into Paris, Cardinal.
Yeah, I've got a little time on a Cardinal way back when.
If he refueled in South Texas, he's been in the air for about 3 hours. How much more gas do you think he has?
He's probably burning about 8 to 9 gallons an hour. As long as he's been in the air, yeah, he's probably starting to run low on gas.
All right, thanks for the info. November 34731, Fort Worth Center, over.
Hey Charlie, we got lucky. I got the phone number from the switchboard operator at the hospital. I tried calling, couldn't get an answer, but if you want to go ahead and try it straight from the sector, I'm going to go work with law enforcement at the airport, see if we can get anything on the ground there.
All right, I'll keep trying.
All
Thanks,
right,
Brian.
thanks.
Come on. Hey Phil, we've got the phone number, but I can't get a hold of him.
I'll take the phone number and see if I can send him a text message. Sometimes those go through.
Then I get a text from ATC. I figured, you're kidding. Wow, they know I'm alive, good. This is really good. So all of a sudden, things start looking better.
We had already pretty much surmised that he was heading to Majors because he had circled over Commerce and was heading that way. The adjacent area was working on getting the pilot-controlled lights on, in contact with the tower operator, the airport manager, to get them out there to make sure the lights were manually turned on. And I continued to provide him information about the weather and things of that nature via the text message.
And American 1080 need a favor? Yes, sir, got a pilot in distress. We're trying to help him find an airport. I need you to go to CTAF frequency 118.65. It's at Greenville Majors. And key up, click it 7 times. We want to get them on high intensity. Just report back when you're done. Thank you. American 1080, appreciate the help. Contact Fort Worth Center 126.57.
You know, this is kind of where you know that ATC is on the same wavelength, because they also said they're going to have the runway lights activated. Da, 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 da. Cavalry is coming, yay. Okay, good. All right, so I start to descend. And where there's a break in the clouds, it's going down, and poof, the break goes away. I'm back in the thick of it. And I'd probably only gone down 1,000 feet, so I figured, oh, I don't want to do this. So I figured, okay, flaps are retracted, so I climb back out of the clouds. And I'm thinking, okay, great. Now I just used up whatever remaining fuel I had, probably on climbing, and I figured, and I'm going to pass the runway now. So the runway is probably behind me now, so look for another break, and I found another break. This time I was going to go for it. I was not going to take a chance, and it was a dive. Probably well beyond 2,000 feet per minute, and just trying to get through that hole in the clouds.
All right, guys, it looks like he's lined up for the final.
Fingers crossed.
Hey Charlie, we got the lights on high intensity at Majors, and the fire rescue service is standing by.
Okay, he's getting closer, he's lined up.
And poof, all of a sudden, you're out of the clouds. I mean, clear, 10-mile visibility, and I figured, wow, I made it, I'm out of the clouds, but I'm going kind of fast. Pull back very gently, slow down somewhat, still going way, way too fast, and the runway's over there. I can see the runway, see the fire trucks, everything. Make a circle, and I just had the engine idling, of course, because really I'm thinking I have no fuel. I'm not counting on fuel anymore. I just want to land. So I pull back and almost right back into the clouds to slow down, almost stall, and then come back down. And from there, it was like a nice 80-knot glide all the way in. It was a squeaker, you know?
Just got a text from him that says, landed safely by the grace of God.
Outstanding.
Good deal. Good job.
When he texted that he had landed safely by the grace of God, it was
It was good.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. Well, and because there's so many times when
these situations don't end up like
they
this.
don't
Most
end
of the
well.
time it ends poorly.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's not because of lack of effort here. It's just when you're dealing with an airplane and a bad situation, there's a lot of bad things that can happen. Unfortunately, usually we just get to read a report about it the next day, and it's not, you know,
positive.
You know, it's unfortunately sometimes not a good outcome. A cheer went up, and then we went back to work.
Back to work.
I kill the engine, stop, and just this penetrating silence, can't hear a thing. And you realize you made it. And you know, you're not thinking quite right, I gotta tell you, right? Somehow I'm expecting this round of applause saying, congratulations, you made it, that was awesome, but it didn't happen. Of course, you're in the middle of the runway. And the fire trucks seemed like forever for them to get there. And I kind of thought, well, maybe they'll say, good landing. And I said, you right? Yeah. Okay, follow us. It was sort of anticlimactic, you know? The story went on after that, obviously, because we tried to figure out what it was, and we went through the electrical system, didn't find anything wrong, so they figured, well, maybe there's something intermittent in the alternator. No. Found some corroded terminals. Well, maybe that was it. Never had a real satisfying answer. Besides the basic radios and just plain navigation light, there wasn't much on. So, yeah, I don't know why it went out then.
In their decades of experience, controllers Charlie Porter, Phil Innes, and Hugh Hunton had never met one of the pilots they'd helped while on duty. That is, until Dr. Edenhofer came along.
You assist a pilot that's in trouble, and you get the solution, and they make it out of it fine, but you never meet them, you never hear anything afterwards. It's just at that moment when they realize everything's okay, and they change to advisory frequency or go talk to the tower, or just land and it's over, it's just over, and you don't know what happened. It was really nice to get to talk to the doctor and get to know a little bit about him and what he felt, and that, you know, we had an impact.
You know, I'm a physician, and they're as devoted as a physician to saving lives, and that's saying a lot. That someone that puts their interests above your own, they could have gone home. One guy stayed overtime. I mean, they were really there rooting for me, and it wasn't just a job for them. They were really there trying to pull me out of this. So I think probably it helped a lot that they were able to think out of the box in my situation with the cell phones and had the ability and guts to do that. That, you know, obviously cell phone communication was quite pivotal to my situation. So it could have ended quite differently without it. A lot of lessons to be learned from this whole experience. We need to talk about some of these things. Always have your little red light there when you night fly. Like, I literally always wear it, because you never know. I never thought this would happen. I always thought that I couldn't see well, but not that no power. Other little lessons like safety precautions. I used to fly high at night. Now I fly really high at night just because, so I can make the next airport. And that's a factor. Because if your engine goes, well, then your engine goes. So just pre-planning everything a whole lot more, weather obviously even more cognizant of that, although still have that problem, if you don't have forecasts at where you're going, how good is it? And weather changes anyway, so how reliable is the forecast? I almost always will file a flight plan, even if it's good weather, even if it's VFR, it's just good practice.
Some pilots, and I think they all should, put their cell phone number in the remarks section. That's
part of your flight plan.
Yeah,
when you file, put your cell number in.
Especially,
please.
and if you have a satellite phone,
yeah.
make sure it says satellite phone and put that number in there.
Radio, have a nice, really good basic radio with big buttons that you can take out in your sleep and turn on and hit the emergency frequency. I have 3 attitude indicators because if one of the 3 goes out, well, which one of the 2 is right? So you can play that game with yourself. So I thought 3 is a good number. So when all 3 say the same thing, that's when I land. Honest, it sounds really extreme, but if you're flying hard IFR, it feels much better down here. It really does.